Schönen guten Abend, a very warm welcome to all of you, those present here in this room and also those behind the camera, somewhere in Berlin, elsewhere in Germany, in Tripoli, in Beirut, or in Great Britain, or even in Iraq. Good to know you are here. Thank you. We can't see you, but we know you are there. That's how it often is, by the way. There are peacemakers all over the world, people who work for peace between religions, cultures, neighbors. Often, it's small-scale craft work. It's phone calls, conversations, emails, rather than a big speech or an important decision. A very noiseless work. And then we tend to think that the troublemakers and those against peace were much more. But it's not true, they are only louder. We know the names of those who destroy peace in Lebanon and elsewhere in the world, but except from a few, we don't know the many people who are rebuilding it and how they do it. And often the peacemakers don't know even each other. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so happy to welcome here our friend, Professor Ziad Fahed. And I would like to mention here the Lokahi Foundation from Great Britain, who brought us two together. Thank you a lot for sharing your thoughts with us. And before we start, before we hear that thoughts, let me quickly introduce Professor Ziad Fahed to you. He was born and raised in Lebanon. He studied philosophy and theology in Lebanon, and he earned his master's and his PhD in Catholic theology in Lyon, in France. He was invited a Fulbright scholar twice in religious pluralism at the University of Santa Barbara in 2006, and again on interreligious dialogue at Temple University in 2008, in the United States both. And currently, he's professor at the Notre Dame University in Louaize in Lebanon. He also is founder and director of Dialog for Life and Reconciliation. We will learn more about this Dialog for Life and Reconciliation in a moment. And he's member of several advisory boards, such as the KAAD, the Katholische Akademische Ausländerdienst, KAAD in Lebanon, and also chair of the advisory board from World Vision Lebanon. And let me add this, he was part of the organizing team of the ecumenical youth meeting from Taizé in Lebanon in 2019. And yeah, dear Ziad, I'm especially keen to learn from you, and thank you for coming. And I would say now without ado, the floor is yours. Thank you. You can applause.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Catherine. I guess we need to applaud you, not to me. Thank you for your work. Allow me to start first by telling you how honored I am to be here today at the Catholic Academy. If I am here today because great persons worked hard and allowed me to be here today. So thank you for the Catholic Academy, thank you for the administration of the Catholic Academy, and special thanks to Catherine Vice for her hard work and for believing in this friendship and for believing in grassroots initiatives. So thank you again, Catherine. Again, I would like to thank all those who are here today, despite all the challenges. We are so thankful for that you are doing this effort. 3G, 4G, I don't know how many gay we are passing by these days, in these hard days. So, and I would like also to thank those who are online, those who are watching us, who are helping us, who are listening to us from Europe, Germany, from Taizé, our common friends from Taizé who are here, who are in Europe, Lebanon, Trablus, Tripoli, Beirut, and the US, and everyone, single person who will be watching this and attending this event virtually. In this hard time, it's important to believe how technology is important to build bridges. Maybe this would be one of the key points of today, building bridges. So again, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome to everyone, and thank you for being here despite electricity, no electricity, difficulties, challenges, etc. Troublemakers, as she mentioned, Catherine, in her introduction. I need to start by telling you a little bit more about who I am and what is my background. My name is Ziad Fahed. The War of Lebanon, you may ask which war. One of the War of Lebanon started when I was 9 years old, 1975. And then today my daughter is 8, my youngest daughter. So I am offering her a destroyed country again. And we are offering her a country without bridges, without electricity, with a huge devaluation, a huge disaster. Again, probably more difficult than the time of the war in 1975. So, and at very young age, I believed in violence. I believed, and I know it's recorded, it's online, and I can say it again. I believed in violence, and I believed that violence can change the world. I will repeat it. I believed that violence can change the world. And I did all what a teenager can do when he believed or she believed in violence. So I joined whatever group that I joined to, and I thought that this is my way to build my country, to defend my people, and all the different slogans that they use in this type of difficulties and challenges. I believed in that for a few years in my life, and then immediately, 2 years later probably, I was able to connect with bridge builders. I was able to connect with the bridge builders. I am sharing you this story because it's important to know the more we connect with people, the more we connect with young men and women, even if they are in the wrong places, the better chances we may give them. I am not telling you this, I may be telling you this to me also. So the more we connect with bridge builders or these people who are in difficult situation, they have more chances to create a better tomorrow. This is the second key word that I want to use today. So, and then I have moved horizons, and I joined Faculty of Theology, and then immediately later on, I was able to connect with Brother Roger from Thésée, who gave us opportunity to believe in the reconciliation process, and it was a beautiful life-changing experience for me, because I was able to the trust that this person was inspiring to me. I was able to make a great move and to know that I am in the right place. And then after my PhD in theology in Lyon, I went to Beirut again because I wanted to contribute in the rebuilding process of my country. I regret now. I wanted to contribute in the rebuilding process of my country because I didn't want to let the place for radicalists. I didn't want to let these places for fundamentalists. I didn't want to let the place for those who are who, if I may say it this way, don't look similar to me in terms of openness. At least I thought this principle. So I went back to 2001 to help, to contribute, to rebuild the young generation of Lebanon. Again, for sure, I regret, but I regret, and I don't regret at the same time, and I hope that you got my joke or my way of talking. So after 21 years teaching, trying to build the bridges, because the building bridges process is a process, it's a journey that never ends. So I was able to meet different guys, different persons who are great, who are here today, maybe from Tripoli, attending this event, Beirut, North Lebanon, South Lebanon, a different part of the world. And then we did what we can to heal the wounds, and this is the third key word of today, to heal the wounds of our troubled society. And we did our best. Maybe, for sure, it's not enough. We need to continue, and I hope that we can continue. The Fulbright's experience in the States was a beautiful occasion to build on solid foundation, my conviction, and to continue building the process of. And again, my 4 kids, maybe they are watching us today over YouTube. But unfortunately, today, we are offering the kids of today a destroyed country, where human rights, where human dignity is not respected. We may get back to this question, to this part of the presentation at a later stage. My presentation today, I would be sharing with you 3 major axes. What is dialogue for life? Or what do I mean by a dialogue for life, or dialogue of life? And then second point, how we can move from promoting culture of peace versus culture of fear. And then I would like to share with you a grassroots initiative, a very modest initiative where I can tell you more about Dialogue for Life and Reconciliation. This very modest organization, this volunteer-based organization. A dialogue for life is a dialogue that is taking place in everyday life. A dialogue for life is a dialogue that could take place in very single moment of our life, while you're taking the metro, while working at university, at different spaces, where people from different religious background can share their thought, their happiness, their fear, their challenges. I guess it's important to recognize the importance of the Dialogue for Life and to understand the challenges that Dialogue for Life can face. Even though this dialogue many times goes unnoticed, we don't remark it, we don't observe it, but it's important, I guess, to take the Dialogue of Life, Dialogue for Life, into consideration. Maybe from academic perspective, you may not find metaphysic researches about what is dialogue for life. Could not be very pragmatic, very scientific or very metaphysic. But dialogue for life is the key point for me, and probably for others, that would allow to start, to initiate, because we start existing for each others. We start existing for each others when we start dialoguing with each others. The others would remain someone unnoticed. But when we start dialoguing with each others, then we start existing for each other. So this is why Dialogue for Life is very important. It's a genuine experience common to every single people, everywhere. Because it will open spaces, it will open trust, it will create a trust, so people can walk the talk, can walk the experience that we want them to walk in or to believe in, that are not limited to persons involved in the dialogue. And this will make it more important, because when we dialogue with each other, we will open this space for others who are surrounding us, our families, our communities, the religious community that I belong to, as a priest, as a imam, as a sheikh, as a single mother or as a mother or a father, or every single person. This Dialogue for Life would create stories and important and beautiful messages where we understand how important it is. But unfortunately, this Dialogue for Life could also create an unfortunately negative experience sometime, when it's aborted, when it's not completed, when we don't give it the right moment to do so. The Dialogue of Life is dialogue that is taking place on a day-to-day basis, when you'll be taking the metro, the taxi, whatever, the plane, between persons of different beliefs, on the streets, at work, on universities. It is there where they share their pain, where we share our pain and our joy, and where we discover our solidarity in different situations, in social conflict, war, persecution, unemployment, poverty, illness, devaluation of the local currency as we are witnessing that in Lebanon. And as we have seen after Beirut blast in August 4, 2019, where 210 persons lost their life and 7,000 injured and 300 houses were destroyed due to the incompetence of our governors. How incompetent they were to leave 6,000 or 60,000 nitrat, tons of nitrat, in just 200 meters away from downtown Beirut. How incompetent they are. How incompetent they fight to find solutions, destroying half of the capital. 16 months later, and they were not able to form a government. Another proof about how incompetent they are and how important it is to need to build organizations, to empower local citizens so they can take over and move on. Père Claverie wrote this beautiful message: learning to live together and to go out beyond oneself allows those who share intensive experiences to give the weight of the flesh, the weight of their experience, the words they use. In order the words may express the same things, it is necessary to live together, العيش معا, to share an experience, the experience of human life with warmth, with birth, living, suffering, love, and death, giving words the weight of flesh. For me, that's dialogue. Another researcher and professor that I really appreciate, Professor Leonard Swiddler from Temple University, Philadelphia. Interdialogical dialogue operates in 4 areas: the dialogue of the head, hands, heart, and holy. The practical one, which is the dialogue of the hands, where we collaborate to help humanity, to heal the wounds of our world. The ascetic, spiritual dialogue of the heart, where we attempt to experience the partner's expressions of beauty and her or his religion or ideology from within. This is the dialogue of the heart. The cognitive dialogue of the head, where we seek understanding and truth. And the fourth, the integrative area, of the holy, comes from the German heil, hence English health, heil, healthy, and ultimately the Greek holos, meaning whole, integrated, completely. So these are the 4 H of Professor Swiddler, where he dialogue, where he understand, where he explain the importance of dialogue. Hands, heart, head, hands, heart, and holy. My second point would be about how we can promote culture of peace versus culture of fear. We may find many reasons to spread fear. Daesh, Baghdadi, radicalism, integrism, fundamentalists are not making our mission easy. But still, the target that I would like to believe in is to share the power of good. Among the challenges that result from years of war, which is very normal in every society, where we can see more stereotypes, more prejudice, more incomplete images of the other. Media, military groups. And what is important also to understand that the fathers and the mothers of today in Lebanon, the parents today in Lebanon are with their incomplete image of the other, are raising the new generation. So with the incomplete image they have, they are raising the children of today. So which make it more important to address, because they have fear, they have prejudices, stereotypes. And one of the quotes that came to my mind, it's much easier to break atoms than breaking stereotypes, Albert Einstein. So how important it is to address the reality, to take into consideration that there is a fear in the fathers and the mothers of today, after the war, and which is very normal. We are aware that the Lebanese religious pluralism is supposed to engage the local religious community in an honest encounter and a genuine dialogue in order to promote a greater understanding, better understanding, mutual respect, and cooperative action, aiming at serving members of different communities with no segregation. Such projects represent an invitation to deliver a message to counteract, to overcome the fear, the culture of fear, because maybe the Führer of today in Lebanon would use the fear to empower themselves, to destroy more, because the more fear they create in each other's, the more privilege they could have. So it's important to address the reality. Violent extremism that we are witnessing nowadays is not facilitating such mission. I am sharing with you this just to make sure that we acknowledge, we know that the fear of the other exists, and it's a very normal process, especially after war. So now, how to heal, how to address, how to heal, how to address, how to overcome the fear that exists in the fathers and the mothers of today. Since our dialogue partner will be in a similar position, and this is a reality that exists in the Muslim community, in the Christian community, in the Druze community, in every religious community that is a victim of a war, we will be then able to witness authentically to those elements of deep value, to discover the deep value that exists in our own tradition. Because maybe the fourth keyword of today, there is two types of believers. I don't know if I may shock you. I would say, to summarize it, there is two types of believers. Those who believe in the potential that exists in their religious community and use their own religious community to bridge over and to go over and build bridges, and those who fear diversity and create ghettos where they isolate themselves in their own embryo, in their own world. The adoption of a culture of dialogue as the path, mutual cooperation as the code of conduct, reciprocal understanding as the method are standard, where we can see this quote from Pope Francis and Mufti At-Tayyib in February 2019 in the Human Fraternity document. As a grassroots initiative, dialogue of life or for life, culture of fear, that replacing culture of fear. My third initiative, my third act today would be introducing you to a grassroots initiative through three elements that I have selected today. Lebanon modeling interreligious dialogue through the Feast of the Annunciation, Eid al-Bishara, the Feast of Annunciation, the Feast of the Annunciation where the angel announced to Mary that she's going to give birth to Jesus, that the church celebrate in March 25. A few years after the war, different peace builders in Lebanon gathered and they thought, how can they build the bridges? And they came to the idea, I will quote two of them, Sheikh Muhammad Nukari and Mr. Naji Khouri. Both, they combined their forces. And they discovered that Mary is a figure that unites us. This is why, a few years later, with Dialogue for Life and Reconciliation, that the organization that I have been honored to establish in 2010, we adopted the tweet or the hashtag, Mary Unites Us. Mary Unites Us. So the idea, you can, if you're interested, there is a publication in Temple University, a Journal of Ecumenical Studies, about Lebanon model of interreligious dialogue through the Feast of the Annunciation. You can get a full text through the journal. So they came to mind and they thought it will be important. It will be important. They created this icon where to the right we can see the Gospel of Luke in Arabic, and to the left the Quran passage of Al-Imran, where the same message we can see here and there in the same icon. So through this common interreligious holidays that we celebrate since 2010, It's considered to be a common religious holiday, and it's the first time where Lebanon, in the world, we can see a Muslim and a Christian, not a regular day, but a religious holiday, both celebrating the Annunciation of Mary. Through this common interreligious holiday, we want to highlight the importance of dialogue in both religions and reflecting on the common theological foundation of the Feast of the Annunciation. It's true that we can identify commonalities and some main differences, and we are aware of our differences. We are not here to erase the differences in approaching this feast, but it's also true that through this feast, we can explore some practical opportunities to counteract extremism and to build interactive bridges for a better understanding. Lebanon, yes, Lebanon is modeling interreligious dialogue because among the several forms of dialogue, the Feast of the Annunciation that we officially started in 2010 as a religious holiday, where it's a day off for Christians and Muslims, for everyone, offers a pioneering platform that facilitates building over misunderstandings, opening a new form of dialogue, etc., in order to deepen and to open new forms for spiritual solidarity. And maybe this is another key word for today. To create spiritual solidarity by celebrating, by focusing on common spiritual heritage that exists in the Quran, that exists in the Bible, in the New Testament, and to appreciate differences, to not be aware, to not be afraid from the differences. We're not here to erase. In this regard, interreligious dialogue is considered to be a process for deepening understanding of realities and bridge building journey, opening the gates to promote spiritual solidarity between Christian and Muslim, leading toward a crossing over journey that transcends boundaries. It is for us a constructive reciprocal interaction to enhance and strengthen spiritual solidarity, seeking a culture of openness, a culture of diversity. While this dialogue faced many challenges, and we know some radicalistic group will not feel comfortable about it, but for us, the Feast of the Annunciation was a parable, was a message that we wanted to believe in, and we believe in, as a way to cross over differences without eradicating differences, theological differences, but it's important to use it as a platform to go over. Celebrating together the Feast of the Annunciation united all, as the hashtag is saying, Mary unites us. Around that, what Mary represents, empowered us as local dialoguers, if I may say it, local dialoguers, as we seek to promote the dignity within differences and initiate a new model, a new pillar, so we can celebrate this universal motherhood. I am quoting here one of the imams in Beirut that holds the human fraternity together. So the first point was celebrating the Annunciation of Mary. My second point would be how the Sustainable Religious Leaders Network in the north of Lebanon would help us in creating the SDG, in supporting and promoting the Sustainable Development Goals, taking into consideration that the religious leaders can be catalysts for peace building and conflict transformation. Dialogue for Life and Reconciliation, this modest volunteer-based organization, had worked on a series of activities that created positive spaces of encounter and allowed for better interactions between people from different backgrounds. We have created this network in 2016, although some of the members of this network had been living together, living near each other, 100 meters away from each other, and for several years, and they never interacted together. This is the case of some religious leaders a few years ago in the north of Lebanon, in Tripoli. Many of them had never interacted within the other before the implementation of such network. Furthermore, some have been working for more than 17 years in the same area of Tripoli, in the same sector, but have never had the chance to partner, the chance to talk, the chance to interact, and coordinate together to achieve more effective and efficient results in education, peace building, and social work. This is due to the fact that entering someone else's house was never a possibility, as most of them were raised on the notion of communitarian belonging and fear from the other. Therefore, different techniques were implemented to encourage dialogue and to facilitate the process of reconciliation. Quote, interaction between religious leaders from different backgrounds can happen on a plethora of different levels, says Father Brahim Durbali. I continue, quote, it happens on a daily basis through exchanges in the market, at school, at work, and in different private institutions. It also happens on the level of life through sharing similar values and worries, which increases empathy and decreases fear. And on the level of the formal and non-formal meetings for lay people and of civil society to promote the protection of personal identities while stimulously respecting and appreciating the diversity that surround us. End of quote. Dialogue for Life and Reconciliation, DLR Lebanon, also developed discussion topics that address stereotypes and negative perceptions. Initially, when we launched this network that we have called the Sustainable Religious Leaders Network in the North that Catherine have met 3 years ago, and Thomas met also a few weeks ago in Lebanon, we did not expect that this will last for more than 1 year or more than a season. But 6 years later, the network is still active. Religious leaders, Muslim and Christians, are not gathering just for a book signing ceremony or for an iftar or for just a celebration or taking photo, but they are working and they are meeting together in every single month. However, today in 2022, the network is still active and dynamic through several meetings, workshops, and activities. Sheikh Muhammad Na'man, member of the network, grants this success to the fact that religious leaders are regularly given the chance to speak, listen, interact, and explore the possibility of finding common grounds to serve humanity as a whole and to achieve together sustainable development and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Among the different items and topics tackled by the network, we can highlight the following due to their significance in Lebanon and the Arab world. Among the things that I want to enumerate today, counteracting and preventing extremism, violent extremism, highlighting the role of education, religion, and family upbringing and protecting women's rights, and achieving gender equality, building capacities for active listening and successful mediation, using interreligious dialogue to foster inclusiveness and peaceful societies, as well as building partnership to achieve just governance. All of the aforementioned topics allowed a better understanding of salient social, economical, cultural characteristics and increased the participants' scope of knowledge and responsiveness. The change that was apparent for us, that was so visible through the messages delivered by the members of the network, both in their homilies, in their activities, in their sermons, in their relations, in social media, since they presented a concrete example of positive outcome for the network, not only in the specific group, but also in their families, within their families. Every member of the network was able to, quote, show the quality of mercy through the way that they preach, they convene as religious leaders, male or female, through the way they provide social service. End of quote. Most importantly, our organization witnessed another tangible result, embodied in the decreased intention. And this is very important, especially when you know the north of Lebanon, with all the difficulties that we were witnessing. The decreased intention between several warring neighborhoods, because war existed between the Sunnis area and the Alawites area till 2015, and the North war started in 2016. give you an idea. Seeing religious leaders who walking together in the same city, as we have organized some walks, in the same streets, and guess what? Playing football together. Playing football together, not against each other, priests against sheikhs, no. Playing football together. Visiting each other's families, as well as being an example of tolerance and understanding as bridge builders. All these were so positive in terms of allowing us to understand. This photo 2 weeks ago. Sustainable Religious Leader Network of Lebanon project that we have launched allowed us to empower stakeholders, empower religious leaders so they can overcome. They can be a model and start initiating small initiative from the grassroots level and going up. Our dream, and maybe this is the 7th keyword of today, is to see such network in different cities of Lebanon. Similarly, a number of religious leaders and faith-based actors have been highlighting the significance of religion and inter-religious dialogue in helping to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Dialogue for Life focused on the contribution of religious leaders. Mainly we focused on the Sustainable Development Goals number 5, 11, 16, and 17. Through our inter-religious activities, sparing no effort since 2016 till now. So both we can hear the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. My third initiative for today, how we can promote social responsibility and community action through promoting spiritual solidarity. And there is a full text about teaching spiritual solidarity through human books. I may elaborate about the human books if you're interested. Spiritual solidarity is to recognize the richness and the authenticity of the other spiritual experience. Spiritual solidarity is the God-bestowed, incarnational. Consequently, spiritual solidarity seeks to reconcile within the local environment and to bridge over the gap, to see the positiveness, the good, the beauty. Accordingly, spiritual solidarity is an outcome of dialogue, a dialogue that should be translated into action, or what I would like to call walking the talk. Spiritual solidarity is a process. It is recognizing the richness and the authenticity of each spiritual and theological background. It is including the other and providing a praxis code by which we might respond to the most pressing and the immediate humanitarian crisis of our day, such as developing solidarity within the most vulnerable people and the marginalized community. It is inviting each and everyone to move from living on our own island to discover our interconnectedness and our commonality. Through spiritual solidarity, we want to aim to generate strong change makers, cemented in spiritual solidarity, to stimulate and initiate a real dialogue, starting from our own space, from our own church, from our own Muslim or whatever community, cultural community, and from here, aiming to embrace the world from the grassroots. And these spiritual solidarity were taught or were shared through 4 common activities. Through Dialogue for Life and Reconciliation, we have started what we have called the Inter-Religious Academies, that which is a kind of summer camp or summer universities, Université d'été, where young men and women, some maybe are following on YouTube, where young men and women, university students from different cultural communities of Lebanon were able to live together for several days. As Baden-Powell, the founder of Scotism, said, living together for one school or camping 1 week together equal of 6 months or 7 months of being in the classroom. And through such living together, we tried through several years to allow this life-changing experience to break stereotypes, knowing that instead of blaming our ancestors for offering us a destroyed country, the target was how we can do that our kids have a better country, a better today, so they can be active in a better tomorrow. So this is what we have called the interreligious academies, a grassroots initiative. A second point is what we have launched after Beirut blast, through Dialogue for Life, Operation Hope, Operation Espérance, that we have launched just immediately after Beirut blast. And with a modest resource, we were able, in a very modest way, to help in restoring 26 apartments destroyed fully or partially through the Beirut blast. And the third initiative that's showing spiritual solidarity that is still active today is educational and emotional support, where we have recruited university students, Christians or Muslims or Druze or whatever, to volunteer so they can teach online, after school support, we have called that, to help students to pursue their educational journey. Because if the students of today will stop their school, we are sure that they will be Daesh of tomorrow or radicalists of tomorrow. So in order to help the young men and women, the young teenager students to pursue their educational mission, we have partnered with some school and we have launched this initiative. Through this initiative, we thought and we do believe that we had 4 objectives. One, helping the families in need to help teaching their kids, because sometimes it's not easy to have tutorial, and when some students, some needs, they need some help. So helping the parents, helping the students who are facing some academic challenges at their school, creating part-time jobs for university students so they can teach online to get some money, so they can continue their university studies. And fourth, and most importantly also, to bridge building, because you may have an idea about the different communities that are separated in Lebanon, but so a Muslim university student from the Bekaa area can volunteer to help a Christian student from Beirut area, and vice versa. So we allowed a Muslim student to enter virtually online a house of a Christian student, and vice versa. So it worked in all directions. So through online, we were able to do it, and we're still able to do it through the power and the generosity of many university students that we are really thankful for them. And finally, supporting some families in need. These are just few examples about some activities. Again, the target of my presentation is to give you a presentation about a modest experience, a grassroots experience that started out of faith in the country, instead of blaming others for offering us a destroyed country. What can we do for the youth of tomorrow? And this is how we have started all of that. And finally, thank you. Merci.
So, thank you so much. Well, thank you for your words, but also for your work, which is much more important. Thank you a lot. You too, here in the room and also on the screens, may ask questions in a moment. Those questions online will also be brought up to the panel. Thomas, my friend and colleague, he will take care for that, so you're also seen. And I know this seems to be a bit off topic, but I know that many people in the audience would really love to know something about the current situation in Lebanon, even about what normal life looks like at the moment, and what are your main worries and everyday problems, and how they tackle and anyway interreligious issues. So my suggestion is we will tackle that, but later on. Then at the end you can tell us a bit about this. And while you in the audience perhaps are still reflecting a little on what has been said, I will start with some, or maybe with the first question, my own. My first question would be, to what extent does interreligious dialogue, to what extent can it save Lebanon? Maybe a bit huge question for the beginning, but...
To what extent interreligious dialogue can save Lebanon? To tell you the truth, Catherine, I don't know. I don't know how interreligious dialogue can save Lebanon. And I'm not sure that interreligious dialogue can save Lebanon. But what I'm sure about is interreligious dialogue can create a better today for a better tomorrow. By creating a better today through bridge building, through being in communion, through destroying the fear, through interacting with others, we can heal the wounds of our incomplete images that we are witnessing in our days, in our today's, in everyday's life. Through I'm sure about that interreligious dialogue can help me to be a better Christian. Because I know that inside our Christianity, there is a call for celebrating diversity. There is a call for going over and for sharing. There is spaces for everyone. And also inside my Islam, there is a space where I can host, where I can help, where I can welcome diversity. I do believe that inside of every religion, there is a space. There is two ways of understanding my own faith. Either through being isolating myself in an island, in a ghetto, what I call ghetto, or through creating spaces to welcome. And this is a motto of Dialogue for Life, to believe and to promote the dignity of being different. It's not enough to believe. Believing in the importance of dignity of being different is good, but it's not important. You need to believe and to promote. I will answer you with a story. A few years ago, a speaker from the West was lecturing in Lebanon. And then he started by asking this question: since how many years the Maronites of Lebanon, the Maronites, the Lebanese Middle Eastern Catholic Church, since how many years the Maronite of Lebanon lives with the Druze of Lebanon? Someone in the assembly answered, we live together, Maronite and the Druze, the same with Islam, live together since at least 1,000 years, 900 years. 900 years. And the audience, the Western speaker, answered, and they still Druze? You live together, and they still Druze? It was a provocative answer from the guy, from this speaker. But I keep always, in many publications, I've used the story. No, they are not Druze anymore in the way of any single Druze that he was not ever able to meet or to interact with the Christians. And the Christians also are never the same, has never been offered the possibility of interacting with the Druze or the Islam. We have changed. We have changed. By living together, we had a better understanding, a beautiful understanding of each other sometimes, but unfortunately, we don't hear about the positive stories, the good stories. So by living together, we were able to have a different perspective. I do believe that the Muslim of Saudi Arabia, which I do admire and respect, are different than the Muslim who were able also to interact on a daily basis with the Christians or the Maronite or the Druze, etc. So in this living together today, and I'm sure we have many stories like this in Germany and in every part of the world, by living together, we have changed. We have changed for the better. We have changed to understand how inclusiveness is important in every religious group. It's a call for duty, if I may. It's a responsibility. I know it's not easy. I have a proverb, and I'll finish here. I have learned when I was in France studying this beautiful proverb. When a branch of a tree is broken, everybody here. But when a forest is growing, nobody hears. Nobody here. So many beautiful initiatives that are taking place everywhere. Felix today, maybe he was arriving here and he had a beautiful story maybe. Thomas yesterday, and everyone here in the room. Rebecca, Francesca, everyone has beautiful stories and beautiful messages. So it's a responsibility, not something easy to get. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. That brings me to a second question, which is always like, if people want to complain, it's easy to complain and say, well, you're always doing dialogue with the same people. So what you do that you don't do dialogue always with the same people or with those who are willing to do any dialogue. So how do you outreach to include more people, or maybe those who did not know before that they wanted to be included?
Yeah, this kind of question comes always, and this is
kind of playing advocatus diaboli.
No, yeah, but this always came to mind, and this is for me one of the most difficult question that I face. I don't know, again, I don't have a recipe for how to include more people, because the disadvantage of dialogue is that we finish always to talk to the same persons. This is a challenge. It's a reality. We finish always by talking to the same persons. This is a challenge. How to overcome this? I guess by multiplying initiatives. Maybe some religious leaders were interested in playing football with us, or walking the street, But again, I would like to start also by saying that those who are around the table of today are not sure. We cannot assume, Catherine, that those who are around the believers of dialogue of today, that will be believers in dialogue of tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So nothing is acquired for all ad aeternam, forever. So we have to always to keep in mind that we need to keep working on ourselves, because it's a journey, it's a process. So first answer, those who are believers of today, we need to keep them on the table. We keep them here, in believers in dialogue. Second, by approaching different perspectives, by multiplying the approach. Theater, play, dialogue of the head, of the heart, of the hands, of the head, the heart, etc. Different perspectives need to be multiplied, so we can target everyone, so we can enrich and embrace everyone. I hope that I was able to give some element of answer.
Yeah. Okay, now I think that has evolved more questions. So I think I allow the first questions here from the room. Please, we'll have a mic. We'll wait that we can, I hope, okay.
Professor Ziad,
Kannst du es abnehmen?
Ja, gerne. Wenn ich darf.
I think quality is much better when
I'm Father Felix, Jesuit from Humboldt University.
1 second. Can you hear it properly, Pierre? Yeah, okay. Then go on.
Professor Ziad, it's a great joy and honor for us to have you here, because you are really inspiring us. Yeah? I seem, because I just heard some murmuring now when I said this, I seem not to be speaking only for myself. I mean, you are encouraging us that something else is possible. What else is possible? When I was for some months in Lebanon in 2004, and I spoke about interreligious dialogue among church people, I felt a lot of aggression against the whole idea, the concept, and their accusation was, where does it lead? Yeah? I mean, dialogue, what's the aim of dialogue? Now, I think something has changed, because when I was in Lebanon the last time in 2019, some younger church people, even younger church leaders, had gained some understanding, and it would be even interesting for us to hear. You said you were opting for violence as a young man, and something happened to you in order to bring about that change. But what I really want to ask is what the church in Europe, in Germany especially, is presently painfully learning is that we cannot simply aim at reconciliation in our crisis. Our crisis is quite different from yours. It is the abuse crisis, yeah? Sexual abuse, power abuse, financial abuse, and so on. But if we, as church people, aim at reconciliation, we are missing the important step of saying, first, truth has to be brought out. And our aim as part of the abusing community, at least representing it, needs also to be to say we have to work for justice. This seems like a contrast and something totally different from reconciliation, but people in South Africa, for example, say you cannot have reconciliation without justice. But what I'm really asking you is, what made your agenda change? And would you say we as Christians in Lebanon also need to have a phase, a step of confession, of professing our faults, of saying on our side mistakes have been done and we are co-responsible for the present problematic situation?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think it's a quite clear question.
Yeah, but I want to correct something. I told you this is the most difficult question to answer a few minutes ago. Answering a Jesuit priest question is more difficult. Okay, just to make some...
Don't fear the Jesuits.
He said it. Father Felix, I would like to start by saying I don't think I can answer on behalf of the church or the community at large. And we had some talk a few minutes before the gatherings of today with Catherine and Thomas. And thank you, Thomas, for all your effort. I think, Father Felix, what is important for me is how do I understand a reconciliation process within myself? I know errors happened everywhere. My first invitation is how we can, we have all been raised with the possibility, we have learned about Homo sapiens, the different type of evolution of human being, And I would take a pleasure to introduce a new concept that I would call Homo reconciliare. Homo that live after the reconciliation process. And this is my 8th keyword of today. How we can live out of the reconciliation and after the reconciliation process. I cannot answer on behalf of everyone, but I know for me, this to live as Homo reconciliare invited me to go deep in my own faith as a Muslim, or to go deep in my own faith as a Christian, and to find the other inside my own faith. So when I was able to find that the good understanding of my own theology, of my own Christianity, and this is the teaching of Vatican II, this is the faith built by Christ, is to go deep and to find and to celebrate diversity. So for me, one of the key points of celebrating and living this Homo reconciliare, that I would like to call, is through finding other. For sure, we are not proud about everything that happened in the past. And I'm not sure that I can be proud of everything that would happen tomorrow. But we are trying. It's a process, it's a journey, it's a journey. We're navigating, sometimes with ease, sometimes with difficulties, sometimes with challenges. But for me, either to take it or leave it. Taking it, accepting the challenge, it's a challenge. We may find partners. We might find the radicalists. We may be being treated or being insulted sometimes, accused of different things, even by our own church, or being supported. But for me, Christianity is here. And, comme on dit en français, ça vaut la peine. It's worth it to go to there finding others, because Jesus is in the other. Jesus is here for me, in everyone who is in need, even in those who don't necessarily agree or those who are adopting a violent, aggressive speeches or approaches. For me, Jesus is here, is there, and here.
And let me quickly add something, because I think just to end the discussion about sexual abuse in the church here, I think it's misleading comparison for different reasons. First of all, because we still have victims who still are who still first of all have to claim that they are victims. So it's more a thing of recognition, and we have also people who have done those things and still not asking for reconciliation. And in this case, it's never ever the victims can be asked to reconcile. So I think this is misleading, this comparison, so I wanted to say these words to make it clear, and we go back to interreligious dialogue and Lebanon, and there's another question. Oh, and we need a mic. And we need a mic there. Okay, and a mic there. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Thomas, for being here. Maybe shall we sum the questions? The three? Sum them up? We'll see. No, better not. Okay, please, your question.
There was one point in your presentation where I would wish to disagree. When you spoke about the terrible blast in the port of Beirut and its consequences, you qualified your government and your social mood of the leading strata of society as incompetent. And I would wish to disagree. It is not the government which is incompetent. It is the people of Lebanon. Every Lebanese incompetent. Why are they incompetent? What is the incompetence? No feeling of responsibility within administrations. No execution of the rules and regulations which were set up. No conscious devotion to work, considering work as a pastime which may enable even, and I'm speaking about most individuals, of course not about everybody, enabling cousins and nephews to be accommodated within the particular administration, etc., etc. So it's the whole spirit. It is not the people who are visible at the top. And this is a societal problem. It is not a direct human or direct political problem, and it is almost impossible to address it or even to solve it. It is thus, to a certain extent, at the same level as your projects and your efforts trying to change human hearts, which may take 1,000 years or 2,000 years or even more so. My second point was I have been a diplomat. That was my profession. My last posting from 2003 to 2008, when I went into retirement, I was the representative of the German government for the so-called dialogue with Islam. This is why I was eager to hear your point of view today. I started that job with an enormous amount of enthusiasm, also with financial budget, which allowed me to support or to initiate certain things. And in the course of those 5 years, I discovered that it was a very vain effort. And at the end, even before, but let's put it that way. At the end, my conclusion was, there is no way for dialogue.
No what?
No way for a dialogue. Why? I cannot, of course, and I would not wish, and it is impossible to explain that in detail, but in just trying to express it in the briefest of possible ways, I don't think that religion and religious appurtenance is the problem, but the religion is, especially in the Middle East, which I believe I know quite well, is a flag which is held up by certain social and perceived ethnic movements. So there is no other flag available if you are a Muslim in Saudi Arabia, you mentioned that, if you are a Druze in Lebanon, even if you are a Christian in Syria, or a Shafi'i in Yemen, there is no other flag for the social opinions which you have than this traditional label of your religion. And that makes it impossible to dialogue. But this does not question your approach, because I really felt that your approach was totally different. You used the word dialogue, but it is not the dialogue which we in the West, in so many institutions, try to promote. Your dialogue is addressing human behavior. And I think this is possibly the only way of making a few steps forward.
Unfortunately, you met now. You should have met some 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
Huh? That was my thought. You want to comment on
Yes.
that?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You are right. We are a people of incompetent. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think so. Great. You are right. We are a group of incompetent people of incompetent to bring to power. Maybe the only incompetence that I agree in to bring to power some non-competent people who lead my country, who they will not fall down from the sky. These leaders, they fall from a kind of election system. So people people mistaken, bringing power, religious incompetent, or what you can choose whatever word you want. But I will not spare. I will not miss any opportunity from now on. I will repeat it. I will not miss any opportunity from now on to criticize and to put more light about the social or the responsibility that maybe people should have and governors should have, because 6,000 tons of nitrate did not fall from the sky. Many persons were aware, and they assassinated and they have killed on purpose hundreds of innocent lives. So, but we have to assume responsibilities. Yes, these people. But what are my kids' responsibility? So when you say people, I may say those who elected these people, or those who brought their cousins to power. I did not bring any cousin to power. I have no cousins in the responsibility, and I never lobbied to any cousin or sister or student or friends. So maybe I would add some nuance in the sense. So I would say some people, yes, were incompetent to bring to power some cousins or nephews or whatever, to bring to not assume responsibility properly. About the second point about the type of dialogue we're talking about, I regret that we don't necessarily agree fully on the definition of dialogue. but the dialogue of hearts, hand, could open the way, the hearts, hands, holy, etc., could lead to a positive experience. I think so.
Sorry, I was listening, but I was collecting also the questions here in the room. Let's make this. We have these three questions here in the room, and then we have two questions online, and then I have my question here. Okay? So Thomas is giving, yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Fahed, I really want to thank you for this wonderful evening, because you showed me, as a Berliner, I can't answer your comment, but as a Berliner, how locked up I am in my thinking. I was in India a long time ago, the first time, that was, I think, 2005. And I was so impressed about the tolerance and the respect I learned from people in India towards other religions. When I was the last time in India, that was, I think, 2016, armed soldiers took me out of a church where I was praying, because the hotel didn't register me as a foreigner. The soldiers walked in and out in the churches, because India is so scared of the the ISIS. And I also personally think that the success of Modi is very connected to this fear for the IS. When I think about what the ISIS or this political Islam, for example, goes around the world, and if you want or not, we all have to deal with it, also with the fear that everything could happen. And I see that in Berlin or in Germany, people, or if I read the newspapers, a lot of people turn against all religions. They start to become very aggressive towards just the word religion, towards every religion. And therefore, you showed me how, even if I really want to question that, but I'm really locked up in that. And you opened that for me tonight with this beautiful inspiration that we have to act as Christians. We have to act in these wonderful ways. I admire also like Barenboim's projects. He's doing with the East-Western Divan. It's a musical project between Palestinians, and it's wonderful. And I think that is the way. And I want to thank you that you opened this door and showed me how locked up I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it was a thank. You can just take it as a thank.
Yes, I'm not going to say anything.
There was another question, and Johanna was the question. So. And then you in the YouTube channel will be the one. No.
Yeah, thank you very much for your speech. It was very interesting. I'm the chairman of Open International Dialogue here in Berlin, the founder and president. And every day we have to deal with dialogue. And in September, October, I have been in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan for 7 weeks. And it was really my first direct contact to live in a Muslim country. And it shows me that it's very important to be in these countries to understand much more and to understand each other much more better. I'm telling that because when I was going to this region, to Central Asia, friends of mine wrote to me, Christian, be careful, these are Muslim countries. But the people have never been there before, and it's open-minded. And for my question to you is, it's very important to get in dialogue with each other in all levels, not only religion, politics, economy, art, culture, and so on. How do you find the people to get in dialogue with each other? I think if you want to get in dialogue, you also must be open-minded. And I think the challenge is to open the doors in the brain. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, how do you convince the people to get in dialogue with each other?
Maybe you can answer this in two ways, because there was the question before, what helped, and it was also my question actually, what helped you change your mind? Like, how do you find people? How do you find people that are open? How do you change people to become open? And how did you change?
I don't know how to change people, frankly speaking. I don't know how to change people. I know how to change myself. I don't have magic. Small initiatives. Sir did a great experience, probably in his experience, in his duty, in his serving the nation. I guess everyone has his own perspective. So by start changing myself, I started creating, I will start with the end, I start, maybe here is the first key figures, how to find partners, how to find dialoguers. It's a long process, I guess. It's a long process, it's a long journey, but nothing would be able to start without a dialogue of life, without living with each other, without experiencing beautiful messages, I do remember, maybe many of you around the table here today would remember what our common friend Saint Francis did with the Sultan when he visited 800 years ago. The Sultan and Saint Francis and the Sultan were not able to communicate, because each one speaks another language. Saint Francis from Assisi speak Italian, and the Sultan at that time did not speak Italian. But they understood. They were able to overcome some differences. And I do remember, if I'm not wrong, the text where the Sultan said to Saint Francis, I don't know what you're telling me exactly, but I see peace in your visit. I see peace in your visit. So coming with empty hands could be a beginning, but with open hands. Open hands to embrace diversity with no solutions. I'm not going to go to South Africa or to I don't know, traveling the world. Sir mentioned many countries. But with open hands, even if they are empty, teach me who you are. Guide me. Tell me more about yourself. Tell me more about your culture background. Tell me more about yourself. And we may, I may be shocking you with what I'm going to say now. We were raised, and we are all in school, and many of those are watching us today. We are raised in an environment where we were taught when we were at school that two parallel lines will never meet. You know that? Two parallel lines will never meet. It's scientific. Two parallel lines can never meet. But later on we discovered that it's wrong. Two parallel lines can meet, not here, but in the middle of the earth. Somewhere in the middle of the Al-Kawn, in the middle of the globe. They would meet. In the middle of the earth, if you can extend them infinitively, they will meet somewhere. So, this is my faith. This is my wishful thinking, you may say. But we will find commonalities. Maybe not necessarily here. Not necessarily today.
May I still ask you who helped you to learn this?
Beautiful. I like this. What does it take? In fact, I would like to change a little bit if I may. And this is another hashtag, maybe it's keyword number 9 for today. What does it take? What does it take to be here today? Not there, I don't know where. For me, I have mentioned Brother Roger. I have mentioned also many different male and female friends of mine, men and women, who were able to be this, what I call them in Arabic or in English, if you want, a living gospel, a true witness of their faith inside their Islam or inside their Christianity. what I call a living gospel, Injil Hay. A living gospel is Évangile vivant, where I find these common truths, and this helped me to embrace diversity, to embrace, to discover the other, and celebrate diversity without being afraid. Sometimes I'm sure the experience of everyone in Singh is different. The experience of everyone is different. And this, I'm not going to impose anything. I'm not here to do that. I'm not good at that. You're not expecting that, I know. But this is my experience. Very simply.
Thank you. So we have your question there.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Fahed, for your lessons from and for Lebanon. I have a question. As you described, and I also experienced 2019, I was studying in Lebanon, and I experienced this revolution. And I have the feeling right now, Lebanon, after the blast and COVID-19, is in a blind alley somehow, and Lebanon is stuck. And what do you think, how Lebanon can navigate out of this blind alley? Because 2019 there was so much solidarity on this martyr square between Christians and Muslims and Druze and Shia and Sunni people, and I don't know, like every confession somehow was represented. And I feel like there was this one event of a human chain through the whole country, and
I was there.
Yeah, so I were there too. I was there too, and I don't know. I feel this was somehow a really life-changing moment for this nation, and people like had their flag, like the Lebanon flag, not the Shia flag or only the Maronite flag or something. So, yeah, what do you think? Do you have hope or for this revolution to come back, or yeah?
But she's not a Jesuit.
Today I'm very pessimist due to the different, and now we'll go back at a later stage with the question of Catherine about Lebanon today. The stolen revolution, because for me it is a stolen revolution. The revolution, the October Revolution 2019, for me was stolen by politicians, by political groups. Because what you have seen, you and me, in 2019 is true. You have been there. I have been there for months. We're taking my student, lobbying my kids. We were there, and what we have seen is true. But the stolen revolution was stolen by someone. And this someone, for me, is those who are benefiting from the system, the corrupted system, or the regime that it is. It's not the people. It is those who were sending les casseurs, on dit en français, to break shops and to throw it, so the families will withdraw from the revolution. It's not they were paid. They were paid. It is documented on different platforms, different social media. They were paid to go and to break, to fear, to implement fear, to push the people to go away from the revolution, at least moderate people, fathers and mothers, families. And I guess the stolen revolution is a really disaster for us, because we had hope. We had too much hope. And what you have seen is true. How to see it back? I prefer not to comment on it, but I have an idea. But for sure, as I was saying today to Catherine, where she took me to visit the memorial of the victims of the wall. And I was, I wanted to quote Elbo Patel, an American scholar who did a great work for interreligious dialogue, and he wrote, bridges don't fall from the sky, people build them. And today I can say walls also don't fall from the sky, people build them. People build the walls, but also people destroy walls. Destroy walls. And I'm not here to say it, you know it better than me. So as people can build wall, people can destroy walls. Wall of ignorance, wall of fear, wall of being whatever, different type of war, of walls. The solution, for sure, as again, I'm not going to be today. I would not agree for millions of thousands of years, and maybe it will take thousands of years. But for me, I'm not going to wait thousands of years. I started with my kids, and I would share a story. Maybe my son, if he is watching, he would like it. I shared that story 2 days ago with Thomas. My son 2 days ago, prefer not to share it.
Yeah, then you should not.
You should not.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway, young men and women today can take initiatives. And where I disagree with some ideas of today, we were raised in the conception that the fathers and the mothers of today are the ones who are responsible for educating their kids. And my faith is that through working with the kids, we can target also the father and the mothers. It's not one-way ticket education. It's round the trip. It's around the trip. So what you have seen is true. Through the young men and women, we can change something.
But as a mother, let me add, the mothers and the fathers need help. Not alone. They need the community, right?
My wife will agree fully.
I know.
Me too.
We have the hidden and the unseen behind the monitor, and we have their questions and their comments heard, and Thomas makes them now visible for us. So he will read what has been asked on YouTube. So thank you first of all for joining from wherever you are.
Ja, guten Abend, bonsoir, good evening, masa al-khair. We have received greetings from Reem Kassab and Firas Baroud from the religious leaders in Tripoli network. So those Ziad Fahed talked about today also watched us. So I think it's a good sign to give them our greetings and salamat and Grüße from Berlin back. So we received one comment and 2 questions. The comment I just mentioned from Ibrahim Dorbali, he said there are too many walls constructed by political leaders and not enough bridges. Maybe this is a comment which fits to many things we already discussed during the evening. Then there is a question going in the direction a bit to the opposite from the revolution question, but how to bring overall political stability and peace to Lebanon. What could be the contribution of interfaith dialogue in this regard? And then a more practical question from Michael Höfig. If you could mention some fruits of the interfaith dialogue initiative so far, some fruits.
Not any fruits, thank you.
Yeah. And some results or maybe some events you witnessed during the last years, what you could label a fruit. And then someone asked to share the link for the Dialogue for Life initiative as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Ziad, and thank you to all questions, and I think you can answer them now.
And I think I will put the link from Dialogue for Life also on the website from the Katholische Akademie. So if you found the video, you will also find the link there. And can you combine that questions too with a bit explaining about the situation right now? Because that's what at the beginning I promised that we hear a bit. And it's so it's like you could mention it.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you.
So the fruits of dialogue, I would say breaking stereotypes, understanding your own faith, either Christian or Muslim or whatever you are. Understanding your faith is the first fruit. Discovering the other is the first fruit. Destroying stereotype and prejudices, wrong images, incomplete images. And we have seen that. Among the fruits I can mention, and I have mentioned that quickly when I was talking about the Sustainable Religious Leaders Network in Tripoli, I can certify and I can testify and you can see it. When you see a Muslim religious leader cleaning his Facebook and not posting any message that could hurt another religious community, for me it's a good achievement. When you see sermons when you live together at least a few hours a day or sometime a week, you meet each others. I do believe that the sermon that you may deliver on your Friday prayer or your Sunday prayer, I have difficulties to think that could be the same. When you meet with other persons, the perception of the other can change. And among the fruits is that we were able to connect our families together. Our wife, my kids, you know, when they see the interactions that is happening, this is very positive for me, and this is among the fruits. Through shining within our own families, for sure, we cannot maybe change the world in one day. And we don't have to. We need to start changing ourselves, I guess, understanding our own faith, either whatever faith is it. And this would be a good starting point. What was the first question, I guess, about...
It was
before the fruits.
No,
How to bring overall stability in politics and
Yes.
peace to Lebanon.
Yes, maybe...
and that was...
Yes, maybe through lobbying, through bringing to power good people, through not interfering in politics also, through respecting the freedom of politics, through not sending wrong messages, through competing towards serving the nation, instead of competing to bringing bad people in power. Instead of bringing bad people to power, let's compete to bring good people in power. Not your cousins, not your sister, not your brother, I don't know whom, but through bringing good people. Let's compete to do good things. Let's compete for the best service that I can do to my Muslim friend is through opening a space so he or she can live his or her own faith. And the best service that I can do, that a Muslim friend can do for me, is by opening spaces to allow me to live my faith. When I allow my Muslim friend to live his faith, I do believe that inside of his faith he may find me, and he will find me. And when he allows me to live my own faith, I am sure that he will find me, and so vice versa. About Lebanon of today, the image is very dark. 95% of the local money have lost its value. 95%. 95%.
Has lost its
value. The valuation, 95%.
Maybe you say what was $1?
$1 was 1,500 lira. $1 was 1,500. Today $1 is equal today 32,000 lira. Yesterday it was 1 year ago 1,500. When Thomas arrived to Lebanon, dollar was 1 year ago 12,000. Now 32,000. Just to give you an idea. The salaries did not change for sure. Gas very, very expensive. Meat very, very expensive. 150% the meat increase. Chicken increase. Some essential food. I'm not talking about salmon. I'm not talking about foie gras. I'm not talking about champagne. I'm talking about some basic things. Rice, sugar, electricity 1 hour per day till 2 days ago. Now 2 days ago till now, full blackout, no electricity, and I'm not sure that the people did this. Incompetent people did this. At least me.
Just to make this clear, you
Yes.
have only 1 hour electricity a day.
Till 2 days ago. Now, set for 24, 80 hours, zero electricity per day. How we charge our phones, etc. I just arrived from Lebanon 2 days ago. We will have 10 hours generator per day. 10 hours generator. So let's say the salaries are enough today just to pay generators. Not enough to eat. Not enough to... And 30 years of reigns with a corrupted regime, with a corrupted groups, not the right person, the right place, opening loans, etc. So can you imagine 95% of losing the value? And in addition to that, your bank accounts are inaccessible. Inaccessible. Is that, how can we say inaccessible in German?
At least that's the way I understand it.
Yeah, I
And
know,
you
but
seem
I am just focusing, to make
Yeah.
those two.
You can't withdraw money.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can withdraw your own money. Your own money. You cannot withdraw gas inaccessible, diesel inaccessible, very accessible but very expensive. So the salaries of fathers of the mothers of today is just to have some little rice to eat, a few things to live. The minimum salary today is $23. $23, the minimum salary. Can you do? Maybe you pay parking per
month,
day.
a day, what?
A month. It's minimum salary $23 today. And so you can imagine how hard is life. And the meat, your salary can bring you, my salary, let's say. My salary I can put 3 times gas in my car. My salary today. So 3 times the car, and then I have to go by using the himar of donkey of my friend, maybe. I don't know how to go to work after that. So everything is not accessible. Nothing is accessible easily. It's accessible for those who are very, very, very rich. And so the society, those who are rich are those who have income from abroad. Or even if you have millions of dollars in your account, I don't have millions, but even if you have little money in your account, $1,000 in your account, you cannot even pay the Netflix agreement, monthly agreement. You cannot pay $12 for Netflix agreement. Let's say you have $50,000 in the bank, you cannot pay $10 for Netflix per month. So completely inaccessible. So the situation is very dark, very difficult. People are suffering. So you can imagine the situation, the moral values, the destruction that would happen. People are selling everything. Difficult, hard situation. Kids go to school without sandwiches. When I had organized last week a gathering for Christmas, just by putting a few biscuits on the table, kids were hungry to eat. Very basic things. What to do? Maybe believing in a better tomorrow and lobbying for a better tomorrow. Denouncing the clientelism system that Mr. Sutter mentioned, the clientelism by bringing power or cousin or relative, I don't know, incompetent people, whatever you want to call it, the clientelism system. Bringing stability, religious leaders have a responsibility. This is a social responsibility that we have to face. I don't have, baguette magique to do magic, but I know that we can try to do something. We can delegate many things, but not our responsibility. And allow me, we're close to finish, right? We're soon finishing. Allow me to, we're moving toward conclusion. It could join some of the comments of today. The Mufti of Tripoli, a great man, once asked me, how optimist am I with interreligious dialogue? And my answer was, and the same answer is still, for interreligious dialogue, for me, interreligious dialogue, let me check to use one word that I have learned today. One word that I have learned today. What is the cedar?
Cedar.
Cedar?
Cedar.
Cedar. So, anyway, the interreligious dialogue today for me is similar to planting cedars. I don't know how familiar are you with the cedars of Lebanon. So interreligious dialogue journey is similar as planting cedars. When you plant cedar trees, it's never you who will use and who will sit under the shadow of the cedars, but it's your grandchildren or your children. So we are planting cedars. It may take years, I know, but if you don't do it, Daesh will do it. Radicalism will do it. Fundamentalism will do it. Radicalist group will do it. Will do other type of cedars. So we are planting cedars, hoping, wishing, believing that someone will sit one day under the shadow of the cedars. Thank you.
I say thank you so much, and I say thank you to everyone. And of course, we can plant cedars, but we can also, if planting cedars is too big for us, we can maybe sometimes just give water. So Thank you for listening. You, the hidden ones in YouTube, thank you for doing all the technical stuff. Thank you for telling all this. And yeah, thank all you. Thank you a lot.